Hey everybody, what's up? The way that we're going to do this reading is that this is going to be for the air signs. So we will do Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius in that order, actually. So yeah, we will start with Gemini. If I remember, I will put timestamps in the comments. All right, we are starting off with Ace of Cups, and we also have Hermit here. Gemini. What this means is that you can be thinking about a new chapter, whether this is just the potential of it or you actually have something that's getting started now. There can be some stuff that you're figuring out, kind of like how you're going to do this. You can also be wanting to feel like more connected, more of a sense of connection. Okay, I'm seeing Virgo and Taurus, both. I get the sense that you're going to be putting a new twist on things. This may be a part of you that doesn't always like to do things like that, but whatever it is that you're doing, it looks like it's different somehow. So even if this is like a continuation of something that you've been doing, I'm seeing you try some new stuff out, or that it involves stuff that you weren't doing before. Sticky rice is coming through. I'm looking at the Devil, and I'm also looking at a Queen of Wands here. All right. Having an Ace of Cups be connected with the Devil is when you can be looking for a sense of connection, but you may be going about it in a way where that's not actually what you're going to find. And seeing this be connected with the Hierophant, this can be something that you're doing where you keep like doing the same thing over and over again, but it's not really yielding the same result. It can feel comfortable, it can feel familiar, and so there can be a safety in that, because this feels like this is a situation that I know and that I understand. I'm still hoping for it to be deeper or more beyond that. It's not really going to be that, but it can be something where you can have a really hard time breaking out of this. But it looks like the encouragement is for you to do that, because there's something particular that you're looking for here. It can be like a relationship that you're very familiar with. It can be a system or a community that you're very familiar with. It can be a corporation that you're very familiar with. It's some type of situation that I'm seeing you be very familiar with, but it seems like you want more out of it, but you're not going to find it in this particular system, so you have to branch out. You can have a difficult time with that because of seeing Devil and Hierophant. This is when we like what we know and what feels familiar to us, and that it doesn't really test our limits, and this situation also will not challenge you. And there is something that you are looking for that seems like this situation, it doesn't have the level of depth that you really want. So even though at face value it can present itself in a way where it's like, here, this is going to be what you want, it's like when you get into the reality of that situation, it doesn't really seem like it's there. And that can be something that you're looking into, but this can be something that you're like very heavily involved with. And so because of that, it can be something where it's hard to break out of that pattern. I'm getting patterns specifically. That can be something that you're having a difficult time with. And so yeah, maybe you're looking at that and being like, why am I stuck with this? Especially because having an Ace of Cups here indicates that this could be a new chapter that you start, but with something that's not really going to deliver that deeper essence of what you're looking for. And I'd like to say, having Hermit here, maybe this is something where you have been analyzing this and you're not just gonna do this and fall back into this pattern. Maybe it's time that you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, it always presents in this way, but then when I get more deeply involved, it like doesn't really cut it. And this can actually be something that you're beginning to recognize now. I just see whatever this is, it can feel like a broken system. And you can want to really do good here. Having Hermit, Seven of Pentacles, and the Hierophant, it can be really important to you that you're doing something meaningful, but maybe you feel like if you're involved with it within this particular thing, even though it can be like attempting to convince you that it's meaningful, there may be something that you see as being deeply wrong with it or flawed with it. And it can be to the point that maybe you're opening yourself up and getting ready to do something new. For some of you guys, I'm seeing like specifically this has to do with a work situation where it can be like you do have the potential to begin this new chapter within this situation, but you can feel like you have to compromise a lot of stuff and that you're involved in something that's like extremely dysfunctional. And even though you can have a very important role to play within that, why not play an important role in a situation that's more functional? And that can be something that you're thinking about. Like, there can be something about power dynamics, power that doesn't like to be challenged, and maybe you're wanting something that feels a little bit more in touch, because this can be something where it's like deeply rooted in something where there are just power plays that are involved in it, or it's kind of like this is the way that the rules are, and it's like out of touch in some way, and it maybe lacks a resourcefulness that you would like to offer and connect with what you are doing. Because I almost see something where it's like it tells you that you're in a position of power. It may indicate that, but then it's like, I feel like it doesn't even allow you to express that or to do it. So it's kind of like, yeah, you're in charge, but then something else is going on where you're like, that's not actually really the case. I feel like I just have this title, but that I don't actually have any real power here. That can be something that you're feeling too within this. And it can be something that you've been thinking about, because I see a situation where you're like, I think that if I were in a different situation, maybe this is about knowing really what you have to offer and what you're capable of, and that you could be like very powerful and effective, maybe in a different situation than this. Because you can feel like this isn't allowing you to exercise what you really have to offer. And I'm seeing maybe like something really special that you have to offer. And some of you guys too, I'm seeing something about being in a position of like guidance of some sort. You know, like you can be very resourceful in that type of way where you can be a guiding light. And this situation may not really be allowing you to explore that fully. Because I'm even seeing, this feels like you could be more in a position being in charge, where you would have more legitimate power. And you could be a guide without these constraints. So whatever system this is, I feel like it puts such a cap on what you're allowed to do. And it feels like it doesn't, yeah, it's being in this position where you're told like, oh, this is a really important position that you're playing, but it doesn't actually allow you to do what you feel like you should be doing in that position. Is that making sense? It's like being told, if you're going to be sitting in this chair, you have domain over these things, and it's like you're not even really getting to have domain over those things. It just feels like it's kind of like you're told that you're that position, but you don't get really the power actually that comes with that, because something else is bossing you around within the energy. But it's specifically part of this community or system that you're involved with. I think this would be different if you went elsewhere, and this can be something where you're like, I don't want to be subordinate to that. And you can see this as being very flawed. So even though it can be saying you can have this new chapter here to begin with in this situation, this can be something that you end up possibly rejecting, because I think that you're actually seeing it for what it is now at this point. I think you've been in this long enough to be able to look at this and feel like it's dysfunctional. You can even probably see a better way that this could function, but you may decide to take your energy and your time elsewhere, because you can feel like you would maybe be of better use elsewhere. But you can want to play this position, but just do it somewhere where you'll actually get to do that, because it seems like in this situation you're not actually getting to do that. So it can feel like you can keep putting your energy into this, but it's kind of the same thing over and over again, where it feels kind of like it's all talk, and when it comes to the actuality of it, you don't really get to be doing what you want to be doing here. Because you can be ready to like actually take on the responsibility, like very ready to take on the responsibility that would come if you were actually imbued like with this power that you should have in this position. There could also be some like fight for authority as well that's involved in this too. Just see whatever this hub is that you've been involved with. I think you're at the point where you're ready for something to just like branch out of it. It's just seems like something that you've outgrown, and I think even like maybe from the beginning you've kind of outgrown this. But maybe also this was something that helped you build your confidence. It's kind of like by not getting the amount of responsibility maybe that you wanted, you could have realized I actually can and I want to and I'm willing to take that on. So you may be transitioning to something where that will be legitimately what's happening. Because whatever this is, it feels like it doesn't allow for that. Even though you can have like a title, it doesn't really allow for that. And this can be just something that's realized now at this point. So yeah, I see, even though this was something where maybe you didn't really get to play out what you wanted to play out, I think that it really helped you become more confident in yourself and really what you have to offer, and that you can be a very, very amazing asset, and you can actually get to explore that, but it's going to be in a situation that will be a bit different than this for you. It feels also too like this situation is just too involved maybe, and then you don't get to do what you're wanting to do. I wonder if some of you guys, this was what you were dealing with before and you maybe broke out of it, but there's some like bid to get you to come back into it. And it can be something that you can confidently be saying no to, because you're just, I feel especially on the emotional front, you're like ready for something that's going to be different. I'm ready to explore that. So maybe also whatever would have drawn you into this before, even though there can be aspects of it that still feel appealing, I feel like it's not appealing enough because you're aware of the reality of it. So even though you could have another chapter in this particular cycle, it seems like something where it may not be enough. for you to consider really entertaining that. Something else that I'm seeing being involved in this, in all of this, has helped you with is your discernment. Because I feel like this made you have to like think about a lot of stuff and realize a lot of stuff and look below the surface and have an experience like that. And ultimately to connect with your beliefs and your inner authority as well. And also to maybe unearth what collaboration really means to you and who you want to be working with too. But yeah, I see kind of this, you're getting away from that. Like whatever this is, I'm seeing you emotionally kind of be separating yourself now at this point and figuring out how to move forward. You can also be in this next cycle that you've been kind of transitioning into, you can also be working with people that are more so on the same page with you, especially how they wield their own responsibility and power. That can be something too, where it is going to be a different situation because of that. I see this getting away. And even if just with the devil, it could have been a situation or a dynamic or an environment that you felt like was kind of toxic, like a toxic culture to whatever that was. You being in this space feels like getting comfortable with breaking away and not needing to fall in line anymore with something. And that could have been maybe what you were doing before and what drew you into that situation in the first place. But now that you've gained more confidence within yourself, it can be something where you don't need the validation of like a horde that's like all on the same page. This can be something that's helping you step more into your individuality in a way where you feel like you're really honoring what feels true for you and you don't need some like pack mentality anymore. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I'm looking at Capricorn, Virgo, Cancer, and Taurus. And we also have Uranus here. I want to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in, and we will be shifting over to Libra now. All right, Libra, the first two cards that we have out are King of Wands, and we also have Six of Cups. And we have Ace of Swords, okay. There can be something about your past that you're making sense of. Another way that you can see this be is that there can be a new awareness that you have over what is feeling good to you and what is feeling enjoyable and what is feeling right to you. So it can be something where you're like, okay, when I involve myself in these things, this is feeling very rewarding to me and I'm understanding that I really like this and this is really resonating with me. And I see an opportunity opening up. So we have Ace of Swords, which is also next to Ace of Wands. This can even be a meeting of the minds happening. It looks like there's a door that you're going to be going through that can end up I see you looking at something and knowing that it's a good idea. And this feels like a new chapter that's beginning for you. And you can feel pretty clear on that. Like, just something about this feels like it makes a lot of sense. I see these two different things that are coming together, and both of them, it feels like, are going to work very well with one another. Like, there's an availability here that I'm seeing with this. Okay. This does look like you have figured something out. It looks like you had to do something here, having the King of Wands, where maybe you had to initiate something, or you had to get something going, or you had to be the one that's in charge of something here. And I am seeing things move forward, and this feels like, okay, whatever I did, it's working, and I'm seeing that. So it can be a moment when you get like a progress report on something, and you see that things are going very successfully. Some of you guys too, you can be working with or connecting with somebody that you're already familiar with, but it can be leading to a new chapter that's going to be happening, or you can be having a breakthrough with this person too. This also means too that if you've been trying to get into a good period, it feels like you're entering that now at this point, where this can be the start of things that are really going to be moving forward now, where this can be the beginning of where you start gaining momentum. Because it even looks like there was stuff that you had to do, things that you needed to get done in order to get things moving now. And I'm seeing a successful proposal here, and that there's an opening for this now. So it is something that can get off the ground, and that this is going to work well together. Some of you guys, this is a work thing. Yeah, you can be working with another person. This can be all your energy, where maybe you're taking more initiative with what you have going on. When there's places that you feel like you need to show up, stuff that you want to tend to, things that you need to get in order, you can be figuring out how to actually make that happen. Like, maybe this is the balance between what you're taking on and successfully doing what you're taking on. This can be about your ambitions. It can be about finding the right pace and rhythm to get things done. And for some of you guys, there can be somebody that you are connecting with. And I see this looks like it's going to be really, really smooth between the two of you. If this has to do with another person. Feels like right place, right time, all of that. But what I'm seeing is that there was a lot of stuff that had to be done, like a lot of prerequisites that had to be accomplished prior to this point. So even though it seems like technically this is a new chapter that's starting, there was so much that had to get done before this, that you had to do specifically before this. But yeah, this can be like a breakthrough in your career direction. It can be a breakthrough with an investment that you're having. It can be clarity that you're feeling when it comes to something that you're taking on, and just an understanding of that, or even like a clear vision that you have of something that you're doing, where you're like, I want it to be like this and like that, and then that can be giving you context for how you're showing up and how you're moving forward. And yeah, I'm seeing overall that things are going to be really smooth, and you can feel actually pretty happy. It seems like getting the formula right. And yeah, some of you guys, I'm seeing that there's a familiar face that you're connecting with, and that things are going to be able to take off from here. This feels like a very good mix of energy. There can still be some stuff that has to be figured out though. Like maybe there were some problems or issues where it felt like gears grinding against one another, trying to move forward. Or there can just be some stuff where you're like, this is still some unresolved stuff that is gonna have to be addressed in order for us to get further. But I feel like a lot of things are smoothing out now for you. There can even be something that you figured out. something that you've understood now. Or something that you've gotten clear about that you can be bringing to another person and seeing if they're like on the same page with you. That can be something as well. This feels like something that maybe a new element that's being introduced into something that you have going on, but that it mixes very well with what you have going on. And yeah, some of you guys, you had to be the one to take more initiative here in order to make something happen, but it's something that you wanted, so it would be worth the effort. So maybe it was about that, understanding that instead of, if you want something to happen, sometimes you need to be the one to act and you need to be the one to move forward rather than just being like, okay, I'm just going to let things come to me. But this seems like something that you wanted to do, so you had to step into your masculine energy in order to make that happen. And I'm seeing things go really well. So I actually see this being super encouraging for you. Where you can feel like you're really loving what you have going on and that there is curiosity about the potential of what can be getting started from this point moving forward. And that, yeah, overall I just see like a lot of potential and a lot of newness, and that things are falling into place now so everything can move forward, and that what needed to be done has been done now at this point. This can also be something that you had a feeling about all along, but maybe before you just weren't initiating it for some reason. I'm seeing Cancer and I'm seeing the Sun here. Yeah, it's something that you had to do on behalf of what you were feeling. I see like a decisiveness that was needed. So maybe that was also part of it too. So before you could have been like not sure about the direction that things would go in. Now it feels like a direction has been decided upon. I think that part of this was about the decisiveness when it comes to what you're really committing yourself to. And before, there could have been something going on where you were not making that decision, but now it seems like that decision has been made. So because of that choice, things are going to move forward. But maybe there are some concerns about how something is going to fall into place or maybe if this is going to work. If something is going to be possible. It has to do with the new chapter that's starting. Yeah, I get a little bit of a mixed energy here where there's a lot of stuff that's falling into place. Things can be moving forward, but it seems like there's something going on that still hasn't been worked out. But overall, it seems like everything is progressing and moving forward now. So yeah, I was getting that. All right, next we are going to do Aquarius. Thank you, Libra. Placements for connecting. All right, Aquarius, let's see what we have going on for you. All right, we're starting off with Queen of Swords. And we have the Chariot. The Chariot came through every single reading. Chariot is connected with Cancer. I'm also seeing Virgo coming out. This combination came out in the Gemini reading. I see you in the middle of figuring something out. Looks like a lot of problem solving that's being focused on. Like there can be something about figuring out a strategy for dealing with something here. Like trying to find answers about that. This looks like something's going on. You're figuring out how best to approach this situation. You may be taking some time to make sure that you get that right. And also trying to go with the flow too. Because I'm seeing some changes that are rolling in and you can be trying to adapt as best as possible. That's not feeling always easy though, because we have a fixed energy next to the Wheel of Fortune. So Wheel of Fortune in this instance is feeling like the things that are kind of fated to happen that you don't have control over, and having King of Cups next to it. This is a fixed energy that doesn't always like to adjust to what's going on. We like kind of want that regularity and stability, but next to the Wheel of Fortune can mean that there's a shift going on and you have to really roll with the flow of this. So even though that can be something that doesn't feel the most difficult, it can be like not being so identified with your emotions that you end up drowning within them, to really allow yourself to have the spectrum of your experience that you're having, and also to stay clear-headed because things are shifting and there is a need to adapt. And for some of you guys, I'm seeing a pretty big transition that you can be in the midst of. The better you adapt, the more effective your steps are going to be moving forward. So this can be something that you're taking into consideration. I'm not seeing anything move super quickly. It feels kind of like a slow evolving that's taking place, but at times you can feel like you get stuck in your head, and that can delay the process a little bit here. Maybe that's also part of, I don't know, like sometimes you may not be showing up a little bit because you get really mentally consumed. Other times it may throw you off, maybe because of the pace of things too. I see a choice that needs to be made, that you can be aware of this, but it looks like it is still unmade. This can just be something that you don't really want to have to do right now. Feels like it's kind of looming over your head though. Some of you guys, this may not be your choice. It could be somebody else's choice and you're waiting on an answer. Yeah. I'm seeing the highlight of Virgo here. So with this, some of you guys, I'm seeing you in a position where you can be waiting to find out what's going to happen, and somebody can be thinking about this. You haven't gotten an answer yet, but I'm seeing you're soon going to be getting that. For others of you, this feels like something that you are in the process of deciding upon, but it seems like it's not going to be a long time before a choice ends up being made about this, and you can get some information that's going to push you like one way or the other. Seems like that's what's about to be happening. So things are kind of up in the air. I'm also seeing Scorpio here. I was seeing Scorpio in the beginning too. So we have Cancer, Virgo, and Scorpio. I get the feeling seeing Two of Swords and seeing King of Cups, like you can feel like you're not ready to make a choice yet. It can be something that feels like a really big thing that you're going to be deciding upon. I'm seeing a lot of water energy having to do with it. So it can be a lot about the way that you're feeling about something, genuinely how you're feeling about it, still getting in touch with how you're feeling, getting in touch with how you're feeling, and then also being clear-headed, and you can feel like you're not totally in that position yet. So you're not sure about moving forward. As far as like which way you're gonna go, this feels like you may be aware of what your options are, but still haven't decided yet, or still haven't done anything about this yet. So it can be something where there's a stillness going on, but you know something is gonna have to be decided upon. Some of you guys, this is about potentially a chapter that will be closing out for good, that you're not going to be revisiting. So it can be a major ending that you are going to be connecting with. This feels like something that you've been deeply emotionally involved within that is going to be closing out. Look at where Cancer and Scorpio are within your chart. That can indicate what this is connected with for you. Or look at where your moon is. But I'm getting something about Scorpio specifically. I think technically you could move forward at this point, but you can still feel like you're not ready to do this. I don't actually think that you feel unsure, but that can maybe be the experience that you're having with this. Maybe you're also still looking at the possible routes and directions that things could go in. Like, if I do this, that's gonna go there, and then what's involved in that? If I like actually lean in this direction, then where would that go? Maybe you're still like finding out about this. So yeah, discerning this, choice has not been made, has to do with something going on the emotional front. Getting through your anxiety enough to decide what needs to be decided upon and to take on the change. And this looks in some way like you're kind of going to be starting anew. That something is going to be happening, and that the way that you're going to be putting in time and energy is going to be different somehow than what you were doing before. If you're willing for that. It seems sort of like the universe knocking on your door and saying, hey, it's time for this change to be happening. And you can still be mentally preparing, even though you could do this right now. But maybe there's a part of you with that Eight of Swords where you feel kind of ungrounded mentally, and so you haven't fully moved forward with this yet. It feels like it's kind of happening, but you may still potentially like have a choice of whether or not you indulge this. But in a way, I feel ultimately like this is going to happen no matter what. That's kind of the feeling that I get from this. I see what something feels like a ticking time bomb. It's like a clock. You have this thing going on, and then you have like a clock counting down above it where it feels like time is going to be up with this. But there's still a lot of thought happening. Having Queen of Swords and having Eight of Swords is, I'm frazzled by this, or I feel like there's too much going on. I'm mentally ungrounded, and so I'm just sitting within all of this with like wide eyes and feeling overwhelmed. So we have that. Then having Chariot and having Two of Swords is about how do I get to the point where I make the decision that needs to be made, but before I can make a decision, I need to be seeing things clearly. And if there is like a lot of overwhelm, I'm too ungrounded to be able to see things clearly, so I can't make that choice. Then having Hermit and then having Knight of Swords, this can be information that you get that kind of comes out of the blue, or somebody saying something that you're not necessarily expecting, or you getting information that ends up helping you with this. If Hermit and Knight of Swords is all your energy, you can feel like you're still thinking about what you're going to be doing here and that you're not ready. So that's kind of a thing in itself, is like working through the maze of what's going on mentally. Then having Wheel of Fortune and having Seven of Pentacles is about the direction that something is going to go in, where you can feel like you're at a major crossroads with something that you have going on in your life, and you know a decision needs to be made about this, and depending on which way you pick, like there are going to be important things that are happening, and this is going to determine the next cycle that you're moving into. But it can feel like it's all still kind of up in the air, like you're not totally sure what you're going to do about this. Then having King of Cups and having Death card, this can be having to move through stuff on a psychological level and emotional level, because we also have Cancer here. So this can be a purging emotionally that's happening. And so this can feel like I'm going through a really big thing on the emotional front. This is a lot psychologically to be handling. And I think it can be like preparing to say your goodbyes to things and to eliminate what needs to be eliminated, to let go of psychological and emotional baggage, to let go of things energetically, to be like actually finished with the things that you need to be finished with, so you can have a clean slate moving forward. And if you end up going through with this, you can be kind of opening your mind to what the potential or possibilities would be moving forward if this became a real thing for you. You know, like, what would that mean for me, and like what would I be doing, and how would things change, and what would that look like, you know? So I think that you're getting more curious and more open-minded to closing something out that it seems like it's getting ready to be closed out. This feels like you're preparing to end something major. And that technically you can be like, I'm not sure yet, but this seems like as soon as you're grounded and you're centered, you know what's going on here. But right now you can be a little bit, I don't know, like dissociated or ungrounded in some way, where it still feels like things are more open-ended than they actually are. I'm not seeing something actually look open-ended here. I'm seeing as soon as you come to a place where you are seeing the truth of everything, it feels very black and white to me. But until you get to that point, it can be something where you're still like entertaining the possibility of different things. But ultimately, this seems like we all know how this is gonna end. So yeah, looking at Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, we have the energy of Jupiter here. This feels like it's going to help things become more dynamic and flow-oriented within your life. And I think that this is connected with where you've been giving your energy, what you've been putting it into, and if those things are really good investments to be involved with. Okay, so the reason why I'm seeing that there can be this like static and overwhelm is because there can be some heavy stuff that has to be addressed in order for this to happen. And there can be a part of you that maybe doesn't feel totally emotionally ready for that. It can be something that it really like freaks you out, or you feel really scared, you know, if you really admit how it is that you're feeling. I think that you know, though. This seems like one of those times where, I mean, aren't we always aware? Where you really know what's going on for you. It's not a shock, but it can be like to actually admit that, to admit what that means. You know, that's a whole other thing within itself. And I think it can be something where you're still kind of like pretending that you're not maybe as aware as you are. Just because you can feel scared, you know, it's like, this feels like it's going to be part of a really big change that's going to be happening for you. There can be a big part of you that feels super uncomfortable with this. You can feel comfortable with what you're familiar with, even though you know that's not really what's good for you or what's needed for you right now. It seems also like there's a lot of emotional attachment type stuff that you can be dealing with that has you make choices that just feed into the dysfunction, you know? Like there can be places where you're seeing, because I don't want to face this part of myself, or I don't want to face this part of my wounding, I'm still making these choices that are inspired by fear. And I'm seeing this as part of the psychological process that you're going through, where it's like, it's karmic baggage that you're working through essentially, where you can be becoming more aware of this. I think even in ways that you weren't consciously aware of before, because you could have been doing stuff and feeling like they were the right choices, but then you're getting more clear on like the intention that you had and being like, that's why that equaled that. So I see a lot of this that's been going on. I see this cycle that you've been in, it's going to be one of those times where it feels bittersweet when you get to the end, because you'll feel good within yourself because of like spiritually and emotionally what you accomplished and what that ending means to you, where you will feel good in your soul about that. But there can also be another part of you that's like, you know, the sadness of saying goodbye and letting go and moving on and moving forward. And so, yeah, you can be in this spot where it's like you've been stagnating in that same position and haven't been moving, but it can be getting closer to that time happening. You can also maybe be feeling more tired lately. Yeah, it's like these places where your guides are like, okay, you're done playing with that, and you're like, I don't want to let go of it yet. And it's like playtime is over and that thing is meant to be let go of, like the toy is going to be put away. But it can be something where it's like you're hiding it behind your back, and your guides are like, did you put everything back in the toy box? And you're like, yeah. And it's like, you know, you have that behind your back still. It's kind of like that scenario here with this. So energetically, it's like you're holding on to stuff that you're not meant to be holding on to anymore. But it can be because it's kind of like your comfort object. So that can be what that's all about for you right now. But it's something that as we grow and move forward, it's easier for us to make those transitions. So it can be a time when you're learning to adjust more to the flow of things. It's kind of just showing you where you're still fighting within the energy because you have a different agenda. This is really where willpower comes in, where you can be using your willpower to make a choice that's not the best for you right now, but it's something that you're in the process of understanding the inner workings of. And as you move further through this, it's going to start to not make sense to you why you're holding on to those things anymore. Because you're going to be seeing the bigger picture and you're going to be understanding like the implications of that and what it means. So you're not going to need that, because this feels like something that's being done because it's pacifying something within you right now, and that as you move through this, you're not going to need that pacifier anymore, and so you're going to be able to release it. All right, we are going to leave all of the readings here. I want to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.